Tonight, calls for the federal government to expel more Chinese diplomats from Canada as the House of Commons probes interference allegations, and remembering Shireen Abu Akleh and all others who have lost their lives in the quest of truth, or giving a purpose to others to carry on. We cover stories about Ottawa's fallen police officer, the bid for Turkey's presidential election, and the unveiling of Canada's new passport. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Catherine Bullock. A former Canadian intelligence officer is calling on the federal government to expel more Chinese diplomats. The former officer says the Canadian Security Intelligence Services has been aware since the 1990s of China's presence in both liberal and conservative governments. He says political parties have also been compromised. The news comes after the former officer testified today at a House of Commons committee studying foreign interference. The Liberal government expelled a Chinese diplomat earlier this week. Allegations had surfaced of him being involved in a plot 2 years ago to intimidate a Conservative MP and his relatives in Hong Kong. The officer testifying today calls this decision a step in the right direction. However, he says it is not enough. He says there are too many Chinese diplomats in Canada. As of mid-March, there are 178 diplomats accredited to Beijing's embassy and consulates in Canada. An additional 5 are accredited to the International Civil Aviation Organization in Montreal. The Montreal police is seeking the public's help in tracking down a suspect who is alleged to have slapped 3 Muslim women in the face in early March. The police say the assaults occurred in downtown Montreal. The women were leaving a business when the man insulted them before assaulting them. Bystanders tried to intervene and the man went inside the Berry-UQAM metro station. The suspect is a black man believed to be somewhere between 30 and 40 years old. He was wearing a black hooded coat, a grey sweatshirt, and a black baseball cap. If you have any information, the police are asking you to call 911 or your local police station. You can also leave an anonymous tip at infocrimemontreal.ca. Sometimes the police award a cash prize of $3,000 to someone whose information leads to an arrest. A year has passed since an Israeli bullet killed Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. Her West Bank colleagues have kept her office untouched. Mourners' flowers have piled up in an adjacent room. The Ramallah street where the news bureau is located has been renamed after her. A new museum will soon honor her work and that of other reporters covering the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Akleh, who was 51, spent years of fearless reporting that made her a household name across the Arab world. The Israeli army would later admit one of its soldiers likely shot the reporter, having mistaken her for a militant. Her killing prompted a global storm of outrage and calls for an international investigation. Al Jazeera took her case to the International Criminal Court in December. The Committee to Protect Journalists this week noted the Israeli military has taken no accountability for the killings of at least 20 journalists in the past 2 decades. 18 of those journalists were Palestinian. In response, the Israeli army said it regrets any harm to civilians during operational activity. The lawyer appointed by Al Jazeera to take up Abu Akleh's case says Israel is trying to cover up the circumstances of her death. A shooting in a village east of Ottawa has left 1 Ontario provincial police officer dead and 2 others injured. The shooting happened earlier this morning in the municipality of Clarence Rockland. The police received a call at 2 this morning with someone reporting hearing a gunshot at a home on Laval Street. When the 3 officers arrived at the scene, they were shot by someone at the home. They were taken to hospital, where one of them died. The police say they have taken a person into custody. In a tweet, The Ontario Police Commissioner said Sergeant Eric Mueller had died in the line of duty. The Commissioner says his thoughts are with the officers' families and friends. Please stay tuned. We will be back after a short break. Pakistan's top court has ruled Imran Khan's arrest illegal. It has demanded an immediate release of Pakistan's former premier. It has also said that Khan will remain under police protection at the police lines compound in Islamabad. Khan has been kept there since his arrest in a corruption case 2 days ago. The Supreme Court Chief Justice has also asked Khan to seek relief from Islamabad High Court tomorrow for the National Accountability Bureau's arrest warrant, which led to Khan's arrest. The Chief Justice has asked Khan to urge his supporters to remain peaceful. The decision comes after Khan's legal team challenged his arrest. Khan's arrest has triggered violent nationwide protests. Soon after the court's ruling, Khan's supporters could be seen dancing near the court building. The EU's foreign policy chief says the bloc should influence China to use its global power in a responsible way. Josep Borrell was speaking today at the European Defence and Security Summit. He stressed that the EU is a partner and a competitor to China. He said the blocs and China's systems are rivals, but they also exchange $2.7 billion each day by trading services and goods. Borrell made the remarks while presenting a report for EU foreign ministers on reshaping the bloc's ties with China. He said the important thing is how China uses its world power. He argued that the friendship between China and Russia has limits, since the Russian economy represents 1% of the global economic output, while China gives 20%. Borrell said China is supporting Russia, but not providing arms for its war in Ukraine. He said that the war could end quickly if the free world stopped supporting Ukraine. But then Ukraine would also stop existing as a free independent country. He admitted his most important personal goal in the upcoming 18 months is to ensure that Russian President Vladimir Putin cannot win this war. A candidate running in Turkey's tight presidential election has withdrawn today from the race. The shock move raises the chances of an opposition first-round victory. 59-year-old Muharrem İnce announced his decision after being targeted by an online smear campaign that included doctored images of him meeting women and riding around in fancy cars. He is a secular nationalist. He ran against President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in 2018, getting 30.6% of the vote. İnce then quit the main opposition party and launched his own movement. He began to pull votes away from the joint candidate of the anti-Erdogan bloc, secular leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. İnce had come under fierce criticism from the opposition for entering the campaign just 2 months before the vote. Critics saw him as a spoiler candidate who could only help Erdogan extend his two-decade rule until 2028. İnce's announcement has caught Turkey's leader off guard. Erdogan said at a rally in Ankara he wished İnce had continued until the end. Immigration Minister Sean Fraser has unveiled Canada's new passport. The new passport includes updated security features and colourful new pages. The updated travel document has also replaced references to key moments in Canadian history. The new passports will be in circulation this summer. In the meantime, Canadians will continue to use the existing version of their passports. The document has been redesigned as a customary practice to update the Canadian passport every 10 years. The last design featured historical images of the Fathers of the Confederation, the Canadian National Vimy Memorial in France, the completion of the Canadian Pacific Railway, and Terry Fox on his Marathon of Hope. The new designs replace prominent Canadians with generic figures in natural Canadian landscapes. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre denounced the new designs yesterday in the House of Commons. Poilievre said the Liberals were attempting to erase essential Canadian history. The Royal Canadian Legion says it is disappointed that the images of the Vimy Memorial are not featured in the new design. The Immigration Minister said the new designs were approved after consulting with several groups. The consultations reinforced the need to reflect Canada's natural environments and diversity instead of historical artifacts or symbols that we're still very proud of. Thank you for watching. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or go to our website, muslimnetwork.tv, to make a donation so that we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.